Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my September Q&A. I missed last month, I think. I have been pretty consistent since like March, April, and I missed last month. I don't even realize how I did it. So typically what happens is that I will do an Instagram story and use the questions feature in my stories and ask you guys to just shoot over whatever questions you have. And then I try my best to answer them in detail on the blog. So after you're done watching this video, be sure to check out the blog post that this is to. I'll make sure I leave the link in the description box. The baby is right there. He just got done eating and he's hanging out. So the first question is, how does your makeup look so good? What are your best tips for newbies? First of all, thank you so much. That's super kind. A lot of times people will often ask me if I get my makeup done every time I do a video or every time I have a shoot. And absolutely not. That would be insanely inexpensive. I really just Googled and YouTubed everything that I know about makeup. Now, to be fair and to be very transparent, my mom has always worked for a cosmetics company since she's lived in this country. So I pretty much grew up around makeup all the time. But as far as how my makeup is done now, I pretty much do what I learned on YouTube, a la, Jackie Aina or Desi Perkins or any of the makeup girls who are doing it well on YouTube. And then I also really try my best to try out different products as well. So I think also not only is it about knowing the technique, but finding the right products for your skin type. So when I was in my mid-20s, which is I think when I really started doing my makeup pretty seriously and I think got noticeably better at it, probably like once I hit 30, I feel like I felt good at doing my makeup. I used to wear too much blush in my 20s. I was just like a nightmare. But I think what I realized that started helping me was paying attention to my skin type. Now, before I had kids, I had pretty oily skin. It was pretty consistently oily, and if you have oily skin, using super shiny products that are gonna make you look even shinier than you are from being oily isn't helpful. So just finding the right formulas for you really does change the game. So obviously, if you are oily, you don't want to use a dewy foundation. You want to use something a little bit more mattifying. If you have dry skin, you don't want to use something that's matte. You want to use something that's more on the dewy side. It's really just about those little things, I think, that make a big difference. I think too, as I've gotten older, I tend to gravitate towards more neutral tones or even warmer tones, maybe like more, if I'm not wearing like a brown or nude lip, I'm typically wearing something that's a little bit more pink, orange, red, or anything like that. And that's just my preference. I think you just have to kind of figure it out. And I think too, now my hair is lighter. Like my hair used to be darker a few years ago, so I could gravitate towards different colors. But I feel like with this hair color, I feel like warm tones as far as makeup is concerned looks a little bit better. I think lastly, the tip I have for doing your makeup better is just using really good brushes and using the right brush for certain products. So next up is, how do you actually write your first blog post? This is a really great question, and I'm surprised I don't have this answer already on the blog, but I'm happy to answer it here. So when it comes to writing your first blog post, I always tell people that this is definitely where you want to go ahead and establish your editorial process. So you definitely want to just list out the steps that it takes to write a blog post. Typically for people, that includes researching/planning. You want to go ahead and outline, then you want to like write, then you want to format, add whatever links in there. You want to add whatever visuals, whether it's a graphic or photos in there or even a video. And then lastly but not least, you want to schedule it, and then it'll be published and go live. So I think it's just about making a decision about what you want to write about. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I think that you also want to add things like SEO. And I think if you use something like WordPress, which is what my site is hosted on, you also want to make sure that you're using SEO. So when somebody is searching for a topic that you're talking about in your blog post, that your blog post comes up in the search engine first. What color and brand is your daily lipstick? I get this question probably like a dozen times a week on stories. And man, I love it. I love that you guys love it as much as I do, because it is hands down probably my top 3 lipsticks ever in the history of my life. And I am somebody who owns, I'm not even exaggerating, probably about 100 lipsticks. But this one is just so good. I think the color is perfect. I think that the formula is perfect. It's matte, but it's not overly drying. And it's a drugstore lipstick, so it's not crazy expensive. So the color that you will typically see me wearing is the Maybelline Super Stay lipstick in Fighter. It's just the best. I actually love the formula overall. Like, I have several other colors in that same formula from Maybelline, but this color just, every time I try to do something different, I'm like, no, let's just go back to this. I think it's just the perfect, because it's like a little bit more of a statement than a nude. And then it's just neutral enough to kind of go with everything, whether I'm wearing like a dress, a blazer, you know, that's black, you know, a gray cable knit sweater. I just think it goes with everything and I love it. And again, because of my hair color, I feel like this is just such a great tone for like what I have going on for my hair and even my complexion. But I also think it's one of those colors that would look amazing on somebody who was chocolate. I think it would also look great on somebody who was, you know, super, super fair. I just think it's one of those just really, really good colors that would look good no matter your complexion, no matter your hair color. I just love it. It's such a great color, but it's a drugstore lipstick, and I think people are always pleasantly surprised when I share that with them. It's not sponsored, but I just love the lipstick, so I've always worn it. What are some best practices when you reach out to brands? Now, this is really good. I think I would stay focused on these 3 things. I think first and foremost, you want to make sure that you are personalizing the email. So you never just want to send out a blanket email without personalizing it. I get it. For the most part, you want to partner with brands as an influencer. So you may have like, hey, I would love to, you know, partner up on a sponsored YouTube video. How do you guys work with influencers? Maybe that's the gist of your email. But when you're doing your research for the brand contact or the brand email, try your best, you know, through Google, past press releases, LinkedIn, try to figure out who that contact is, spell their name correctly, and address them specifically. Because what happens is, if you address them specifically and they are the influencer marketing director, and you send it to the email and maybe the email went to another person, but they see you're addressing the right person, they will likely then forward it for you. So I always say personalize the email. I always think that that's a really great practice. I think the other thing is to be specific. What is the ask? I think it's when you ask for something vague, you get vague results. You know, vague asks get vague results. So what you want to make sure that you are doing is going out of your way to be specific on what the ask is. Again, is this for a sponsored YouTube video? Is this for a sponsored podcast, a sponsored blog post, sponsored, you know, Instagram story series? There's no right or wrong answer here. I think it's just about being specific so somebody can let you know whether or not that this is actually a compatible and likely kind of partnership to actually happen with you guys. And then I think lastly, on top of personalizing and being specific, be concise. People get dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of messages, especially these brands who do put their contact information out there or do partner with influencers on a regular basis. So I would definitely suggest that you are concise, straight to the point, you're specific, and you're personalizing the email. The next question is, with your busy life, how are you coping postpartum with body image and changes? This is a great question because I was recently just thinking about this. You know, my body has definitely changed. I've had 3 children, so I am not 128 pounds in a size 2 anymore. You know, I've gained overall probably about 15 pounds. And I've also definitely, I think I'm like 2 sizes bigger than I typically am. So for me, it's definitely a change. I don't think that I feel as bad as I think I predicted I would. Like, I think a lot of times you're like, when I have this baby, I'm gonna lose weight and I'm gonna get back to my pre-pregnancy self. And it's like, for what? I'm not my pre-pregnancy self. I'm not the person who I once was. And I don't really tie a lot of my value in the size of like my pants or like my clothes necessarily. Now I do value, of course, feeling good. And so I definitely have gone out of my way. I drink a lot more water. I definitely go out of my way to eat a lot more like greens and stuff like that, which I share on Instagram stories from time to time. I'm not doing 75 hard. I'm not vegan. I'm not keto. I don't do any of that stuff. I think I really do just pace myself. Everybody is home right now. I think it's just like hard to, I'm just adjusting to having 3 kids. And everybody being home, including Hubs, who still has his full-time job, which of course we prioritize and make sure we honor. I still run my full-time business. And then, my 6-year-old goes to school full-time from home. And then we have a 2 and a 9-month-old. So there's a lot going on. So I really try to honor myself with good habits, getting in time, getting to bed on time, making sure that I'm eating things that help me maintain my energy throughout the day. And I really do just affirm myself. I really am very, very specific with the kind of content that I consume. If I am following anybody that makes me feel bad or guilty or, shamed because I'm not, I don't look a certain way or do a certain thing, then I will unfollow it and disconnect myself from it. But I'm doing pretty good. I actually think that after having Christian, my son, this was probably my best postpartum season. I just felt so confident. I felt so clear. I don't know if that was because of anything in particular. I know that I encapsulated my placenta, so I do know that that helped a lot with my energy. And I actually did lose most of my pregnancy weight with him. I had definitely gained some weight after having him, but I definitely lost a lot of it just through breastfeeding. And I actually didn't breastfeed him as long as my girls. I only breastfed him for did we even get to 6 months? It was probably 5 months. And then, for me, when I'm stressed, I do eat. I will grab a Kit Kat or anything like that. And, we just have little snacks around for the kids. So I'm definitely easily just have access to all the snacks. But I do feel pretty good. I think this is probably the most confident I've been in myself as a woman. And so even though like I said, I'm probably 15 to 20 pounds heavier than having my first kid, and I'm a size 6 instead of a size 2, I feel really great. I just, I think, exercising and eating healthy will come as, he gets a little bit older and, hopefully things, will get back to some kind of normal and we're able to leave the house again. And so maybe I'll lose a few pounds when I'm able to actually incorporate more exercise and get childcare that we feel, confident about. But right now I'm doing as best as I can, and I hope that everybody out there is encouraged. And we're in a pretty unprecedented time. I know that people have heard that, but listen, the fact that we woke up this morning, we're healthy, that is something worth being excited about and coping with. So, I'm fine with being a little bit different, I had 3 kids. I'm supposed to be different. Next question is, how do you know if a brand is legit to collaborate with? This is good, but I will say this is a good question, but I think the God to honest truth is just Google them. Do your research, do your own background check to just double check on everything that this brand is saying in email. I would definitely type in the brand's name and the word collaboration and take it from there. I think that's a really great start. And then, see if you see anybody that on Instagram, YouTube that has collaborated with them that you're familiar with. And if you don't feel comfortable, it's fine to say no. Even if you're just starting out, if a brand doesn't seem to be operating from a place of integrity or to be telling you the truth, you are not obligated to work with them just because you're beginning or you're small or whatnot, so it's fine to say no. I encourage you to say it more if a brand isn't in alignment with the values that you're looking for in a partnership. So the next question is, what's your favorite brand of coffee? This is very interesting because I just recently made a switch. So a few things. I like coffee. I feel like the pandemic has definitely made me appreciate coffee a lot more just because everyone's at home and I'm trying to do my best to just you know, create content, still be a present mom, still be an awesome wife. So coffee is very necessary for me. I'm like a fake coffee drinker in a sense because I am not a dark roast kind of person. I just think it gets a little bit too deep for me personally. But I am more of a medium roast kind of girl. So I typically will err on the side of like a breakfast blend. And I think I have like, right now I have like 3 favorite coffees that I go to. So my first is Boss Blend, which is Black owned. It is the smoothest coffee I have ever tasted in my life. And I am a Keurig drinker, so I just like to make my coffee in the Keurig. It's just easy. Like I said, I'm like a fake coffee lover. Like I'm not that deep. I'm not gonna do I think it's the Chemex. I'm not about to do all that. But I will put this pod in the Keurig and let the coffee go. You guys see me do it every day on my stories. I'm pretty consistent. I need to have at least 1 cup of coffee. I kind of feel like these last few days I've been doing a couple of cups of coffee, which I'm fine with as long as I'm hydrated and I drink a lot of water. Excuse that little water break there. Boss Blend is so good, and I think that, let me check which one I actually use. I found it. So Boss Blend coffee, I typically am drinking the Culture Blend, and it is an girl, I can never say words with more than 3 syllables, and Chris makes fun of me all the time. I think it's an artisanal blend of coffee beans from Portugal and Spain. It's actually a dark roast, but it's so smooth. It literally tastes like, it's just the smoothest coffee I've ever tasted. It just tastes so good. So the notes of it are chocolate, almond, and smoky, if you're into that. And it is a ground bean. And so for me, typically, when I drink my coffee, I literally am pouring in, because I do almond creamer. So I will do a little bit of creamer in my cup first, in my mug, and then I put it under the Keurig. To me, I feel like when you add creamer after the Keurig makes your coffee, it gets cold like that. I mean, my coffee is getting cold anyway because I have 3 kids, so I'm like usually popping it in the microwave 3 times before I finish a cup. But just for the sake of making myself feel better, I like it to at least start out, you know, hot. And I feel like my coffee tends to stay hot if in fact I pour the creamer in there first. And because she doesn't make K-cups of these, I actually have the K-cup pod that I bought from Amazon, and I'll just put the coffee in there and then make my cup of coffee from there. So if it's not Boss Blend, then I'm doing 2 other ones, which is Community Coffee, which I love. I love the chicory coffee from Community Coffee. It's so good. Community Coffee is kind of New Orleans specific. I feel like the people who I see drink Community Coffee are from New Orleans, which is where my husband's family is from. And I got this from my mother-in-law, actually both of my in-laws are huge coffee drinkers. Like, my father-in-law can drink a cup of coffee and be like, all right, guys, good night. And I am pretty sure I'm actually his literal daughter, because I am the same way. Like, coffee, like, keeps me up until it doesn't. Like, I can drink a cup of coffee at 9 and be like, all right, guys, it's been real. And I'll go to sleep. My father-in-law is the same way. My mother-in-law usually will stop drinking it around like 8 if she wants to go to sleep at night. But that chicory is pretty strong, but I think I'm gonna see if it's a medium blend. Let me double check for you guys. Guys, I did not know that they had the chicory K-cups. Girl. Okay. Also, you guys are probably wondering what the heck chicory is, so let's talk about that. Chicory coffee is a beverage made using the roots of the chicory plant, which are roasted, ground, and brewed into a coffee-like drink. Chicory coffee tastes similar to coffee, but has a flavor that's often described as slightly woody and nutty. I think that's the perfect way to describe it. It's used either on its own or mixed with coffee to complement its flavor. So is chicory more healthy? Oh my gosh, it is. Chicory is used for loss of appetite, upset stomach, constipation, liver and gallbladder disorders, cancer, and rapid heartbeat. It is also used as a tonic to increase urine production, to protect the liver, and to balance the stimulant effect of coffee. Well, I feel super good that I like chicory. But the thing that I was doing was similar to Boss Blend. I was putting the chicory coffee that I would get from the grocery store. I was just putting in the pod because I could not find the pods, and I just never thought to look on Amazon, but I know better than that. Chicory is so delicious. It really is. And it's so good. And it's so good that I literally just have to put creamer. I don't have to put sugar in my coffee like that because my creamer is already sweetened. Basically, actually, because I just Googled it, it's basically chicory and coffee, because chicory is its own plant and it has to be mixed with the coffee, if that makes any sense. I didn't mean for this to become a coffee lesson, but you know, my laptop was here, so here we are. Lastly, I've been doing the grocery store brand of organic breakfast blend K-Cups. After doing a little bit of research, I realized and learned that coffee beans are the most sprayed produce, like one of the most sprayed things in the United States with pesticides and all of that. And obviously it's like very, very minimally sprayed, if at all, when it's organic. And I've actually very much noticed a difference in just like my energy since even drinking organic coffee. To me, it tastes a little bit better. And this is, like I said, I'm drinking the grocery store brand. So, you know, it's a little bit cheaper, but I'm drinking breakfast blend, which is a medium roast, and it's delicious. I really like it. So between the grocery store organic breakfast blend, chicory and coffee from Community Coffee, and Boss Blend coffee, those are my favorite coffees. With everything you juggle, how do you enjoy rather than let stress get to you? I want to start off by saying that I think most of us are experiencing probably levels of stress that we haven't experienced in a while, if not ever, because this is, again, a pretty unprecedented time. For me, I have 3 small kids. You know, me and my husband are both trying to like work at a full-time level in the house while they're all here. It's a lot going on. So it is definitely stressful day to day here to some extent. I do think the thing that balances out, or I don't want to say cancels out the stress, but definitely balances out the days, is just really operating from a place of gratefulness. I am severely grateful for my life. I am overwhelmingly thankful for the life that I have. I talk about like the kids being home all the time, but like I have ample space for them to go. They can go in the basement, they can go in the backyard, they can go in the playroom, they can go in their bedroom, they can go in the family room. Like we have ample space. So I'm super, super grateful for that. That's not something that's lost on me. I am not jaded by that. I'm also super fortunate because I essentially get paid to be myself. Is it work? Absolutely. But I pretty much get to say yes or no to the projects I want to do. I pretty much, have set my own schedule. I set my own values for my company. I get to work with women that I really enjoy and contribute to their income, their household income. That is not lost on me. I get to, contribute to my own households as well. So all of that stuff is stuff that I'm really grateful about. We all have optimal health. Like, that is just, I don't know. I think just especially during this time, that is not lost on how huge of a massive blessing that is. And I really operate from that, Do I have my days where I'm like more snappy at Chris and the kids? Absolutely. But then I really try to bring it back and just like kind of like, Lord, forgive me. I really just was leaning on my own understanding and not yours. Help me to have a better day tomorrow. I think if I have a bad day, my goal is always to just not have a bad day back to back, So yeah, there's some really stressful times. There's times where I drop the ball. Everything isn't as great as I wish it would be or as seamless as I wish it would be. But the gratefulness really does help me get in check. And I'm like, girl, people are out here like wishing they had a morsel of what you had. So, stay in check, and that's really it. I'm really just grateful for every single thing. And I'm also really, for me, I'm currently in a season where I'm like, I have fully realized that I have the things that I once prayed for, and then also staying completely grateful in that, where it's like, girl, you asked for this. You wanted to be married. You wanted to have these kids. You wanted to have your own business and stuff like that. So yeah, it's stressful. That's the price of having these things. And then I kind of get over myself and enjoy the things that I have. All right, so the last question is, what are your tips for waking up early before the rest of the household wakes up? this is good because I talk about this all the time, and I think this is why this person specifically asked that. Girl, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. I am not even here to be like, girl, I just wake up and it's super easy. You just got to be really intentional about it. I think as of late, I've definitely been a lot more deliberate about making sure that I'm in bed. Like, girl, it's just not as easy as it once was. Like, I think when I was like 28, 29, I could just like get up and get out the day. You know, I could like go to bed at like midnight and I could pop up at 5. I don't have it in me right now. And I think also because it's now fall, so it's getting darker earlier and it's staying darker later in the morning, it's definitely making it a lot harder to get up early. But I think what I always like to tell people is if you're trying to be an early riser, like for me, I typically have an amazingly productive day if in fact I get up by 5 a.m. That's literally about 2 hours before anybody else wakes up in my house. I get to have that time uninterrupted. I can read, I can drink coffee, I can work out, I can listen to podcasts, I can pray, I can do devotion, I can do all the things without somebody interrupting me or asking me to do something. Have I seen this? Nope, I get that time to myself. To me, it's absolutely worth it. Even if I'm tired, it's worth it. That being said, 5 in the morning is not a time to wing anything. This is when you want to know exactly what you want to do the night before. When you wake up in the morning, is your plan to read for 30 minutes, work out for 30 minutes, get ready for 30 minutes, and then, you know, outline your blog post for tomorrow, or crank out, you know, an outline for your podcast, or answer emails. You've got to be clear on exactly what you're doing in that pocket of time. You need to be clear on what time you're going to wake up, what time your family is going to wake up, and exactly what you're going to do in that time. I would not really schedule more than 2 to 4 things in that pocket of time. So if you are waking up at 5, your family gets up at 6:30, you need to be knocking out 2 or 3 things. If you are waking up at 5, your family doesn't really wake up until like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Again, really ample time to get a lot of things done. Be clear, like if you're going to journal at 5 in the morning, girl, have your journal out with your pen. Know exactly where you're going to sit, where you're going to journal. If you know that you are going to have a glass of water, a cup of coffee and stuff like that, have your cup of coffee, like have the mug you're going to use at the Keurig already. Have your cup right by the refrigerator for your water. Like I'm telling you, 5 o'clock in the morning is not a time where you want to think. Trust me, you know, to me, I feel like you are more likely to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning or 6 a.m., whatever early is for you. But to me, early is before 6 a.m. If you are waking up early, you need to know exactly what you're going to do, what you're going to be wearing if you're doing it. Girl, these workout clothes, pull them out. And I know it's like, well, I know where it is. You want to use as minimal brain power as possible early in the morning, because then when you save all of that power, brain power, and you're just on autopilot in the morning, you really get to enjoy your morning. And then when it's time to make those decisions, when people wake up and they ask you things and you have to, you know, start answering emails for work and stuff like that, your brain has pretty much been on reserve and you can operate at an optimal level because you haven't had to make a bunch of decisions. To me, eliminating any decisions in the morning is where you will really prosper in the morning. Well, that does it for this month's Q&A. It was a lot more chatty than I thought it would be. Put a baby to sleep. I sent the girls upstairs. Chris is having some screen time of his own. I feel accomplished. Let me know what you would like to see next on the channel. I would love to hear from you guys. We'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.